Hello and welcome to another Women's Health Wednesday Live. I'm so happy that you are here joining me. Today we are talking about something that is very talked about in the medical world, especially as it relates to symptoms, but we're going to be discussing it, as we always do, from a slightly different perspective. Hello, I am Jacqueline. I am a menopause educator and coach, a hormonal health specialist, women's health advocate, and today we are talking about stress. Now, I really could spend about 3 hours talking about stress. I could turn this into a whole long mini training. So we're going to try and keep it nice and short and to the point. First things first, when we think about stress, what is the first things that come to our mind? Usually it is that overwhelm, burnout, feeling stressed, the emotional experience, the, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, because either you've got a work deadline or your kids are driving you crazy or you've got 100 things on your to-do list. That is the way that we often think of stress. Stress actually comes in 4 different types. And I'm not going to go into them too much now because we don't have enough time and I don't want to spend the 3 hours here. I want to keep this short and sweet. But the 4 types of stress are acute stress. That's the stress we've just described, that frazzled, crazy, running around. You feel it in your body. You can't keep up. You're busy. There's adrenaline pumping. There's cortisol pumping. Everything is running. You're aware. You're alert. Your sort of mind is all over the place because you have so much to do and there is just this thing hanging over you. That is the acute stress. Then there is chronic stress, and chronic stress happens when you have this constant stress trigger. Now, a stress trigger can be really anything. A stress trigger can be your children, which are not going anywhere. A stress trigger could be your partner, your spouse. You could be in a stressful relationship. That may or may not be going anywhere. You could be in a job where your boss is a trigger for your stress. Unless you move jobs, that stress is not going anywhere. It doesn't have a definitive start date and a definitive end date. Like, for example, you've got a crazy day, you're running around, kids have to be taken to after school activities, and you've got a birthday party, and you've got to go shopping to buy food, to make dinner, and you've. That is that acute stress. This chronic stress is not going anywhere. You may have a sick relative, you may have aging parents, you may have something that is just constantly always there. That is chronic stress. Then there is trauma stress. And trauma can be big T trauma or little t trauma. Trauma stress is something you have experienced in the past that is sitting there in your body, and your body remembers it and stores it as a stress response. Sometimes it may come up if it's triggered in a certain way, but it sits there and it has a profound impact on the body, even if it happened years ago. The way that the body experiences trauma stress stays and it is remembered. And the 4th type of stress is a biological or an environmental stress, a physiological stress, as a result of exposure to stress triggers like toxins, environmental hazards, mold, pollution, anything like that is interpreted by the body as a biological stress, and your body has a stress trigger response to it. So those are the 4 types of stress. And if you have any number of those or compounds of those, your body is going to be in stress. What is stress? The biological definition of stress is that fight or flight response that we often hear about. There is a trigger. We traditionally say that our bodies are biologically, prehistorically wired for this saber-toothed tiger running after you in the jungle, and you see it and you run away, and that alertness of running away from the danger, from the hazard that is chasing you, triggers this stress response in your body. What happens biologically? Alertness, Your senses are heightened. Your blood pressure increases as your body is pumping more and more blood around so that it can have the energy to run away or to fight. You are cortisol and adrenaline is being produced by the adrenal gland and is being pumped around the body so that all these other follow-on effects are happening. There are also things that are not happening. Digestion shuts down, reproduction system shuts down, immune system shuts down, brain function is altered because our brain is now wired in a different way because of the cortisol and adrenaline hormones that have triggered a different response now, this alertness, this heightened awareness. So there are very clear things that happen in the body and very clear things that do not happen in the body. And then what is meant to happen? You run away, you come to your cave, you find your tribe, you're safe. The body then re-regulates itself to the calm, rest and digest, where all these non-essential functions start to happen again. Blood pressure relaxes, cortisol and adrenaline, production is reduced, blood sugar falls, and our body returns into that restorative, calming state where other secondary systems begin to function again, digestion, reproduction, etc. All of that is great when we were living 2,000 years ago. Not so great when we're living in 2023, when we have constant stress triggers attacking us. And again, it could be of any of those 4 types of stress that I talked about previously. Our bodies today are in constant overdrive, constant alertness, whether it be from the pinging in your phone or your long to-do list. We often have chronic stress triggers, the 24-hour news cycle, the fact that we now work from home, so there is no going to work and coming home from work. There is no delineation and differentiation between our home space and our workspace, our mobile phones, checking emails, so many stress triggers. In addition to this chronic stress that so many of us find ourselves in, the inability to de-stress, not having any of that natural down cycle time, and many of us have experienced trauma. Again, small t trauma or big T trauma. Our bodies are in stress overdrive. And that creates clear and significant biological implications with clear and significant symptoms. So what are the biological implications of constant stress? Well, we're seeing it in an inflammatory response in our bodies. Our bodies are overly inflamed. Brain function is limited. Digestion and reproduction can be greatly impacted. Cardiovascular function is limited. The way that our insulin is responding, because remember, when you're in the stress response, the body needs to pump out this glucose. There is high blood sugar running around the body because we need that energy to run away. We need that energy to fight. We need that energy to be heightened and alert, waiting to be prepared in case something happens. But in today's 2023 world, when we are sitting in our desks working, when we are running around doing errands, there is no threat like that tiger chasing us. It's just emails, but our body is still interpreting it as stress. So it is still pumping out that sugar, increasing that blood glucose for the running away, but we're actually staying still. The stress is a sedentary stress, not an active stress. Hence we have insulin resistance, potential pre-diabetes or diabetes, weight gain, all those things related to the insulin response as a result of the stress response. Nervous system dysregulation, hormonal imbalance, all of these things are the biological implications or impacts of long-term stress on our bodies. The symptoms, as you may experience them, brain fog, lack of focus and concentration, digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome, reproductive, infertility, PCOS, endometriosis, anything to do, irregular periods, PMS, painful and heavy periods, the digestive issues we talked about, all the digestive, the bloating, all of those types of things, high blood pressure, higher risk of cardiovascular disease, that nervous system dysregulation where our body does not do that natural fluctuation of moving from fight or flight to rest and digest. And the more we live in fight and flight, the more we are stressed out, always alert, the more that our body goes into over stress and into shutdown. So often the persistent stress response isn't heightened awareness, it's actual shutdown. Sleeping longer, low motivation, fatigue, low energy, no desire to actually socialize or do anything. All you want to do is brain numbing activities, watching TV, playing, on any app that you have on your phone, that brain numbing stuff, because your brain actually can't cope with any type of stimulation because you are so far over in stress overwhelm that your body shuts down. So those symptoms are often, not only, but those symptoms are often a knock-on effect of this persistent 24/7 chronic stress. And as I said, if you have layers of stress, if you have acute stress, if you have chronic stress, if you have trauma stress, if you have biological exposure stress, all of that is going to have an impact on your body, on how you feel, on your symptoms, on being able to function in daily life. There is plenty we can do about it. Lots and lots of ways we can address your stress triggers. We really want to identify the stress triggers, think about how we can navigate those stress triggers. What stress triggers can we remove if possible? What stress triggers can we begin to manage? And all the different ways to navigate stress. And the aim is to get our nervous system to be re-regulated so that it is functioning nicely, so that it moves, so that we are able to adapt to situations, not always staying in this stress response, but our nervous system is able to enter that rest and digest calming response and be able to move along our nervous system, sort of the pendulum moving nicely along the nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And of course, to treat the real symptoms that we're experiencing: irregular periods, digestive issues, immune function, if you're experiencing any type of autoimmunity, any type of cognitive impairment, as I said, the brain fog, the short-term memory loss, lethargy, low energy, thyroid issues, anything like that. We always want to have a look at the role or the potential role that stress may be playing. So I hope that's been informative. I hope that you are taking something away from this. You may have had some aha moments. Anything that is coming up for you, put them in the comments to this video so that I can answer you, so that I can really see how you are engaging with this information. As I said, we could talk about this for hours. I've tried to do it in as short a time as possible. DM me if you want to contact me privately, but I'd love to hear from you. Put the message in the comments, DM me, and I will see you next Wednesday for the next Women's Health Wednesday Live. Have a great evening.